The Chiefs certainly hoping that Chris Jones will be back next season, because when he was on the field last year, that Chiefs defense held their opponents to 4.3 yards per play, the best in the NFL. However, take Jones off the field, Kansas City allowed 5.5 yards per play, which ranked 23rd. Now, star cornerback LJarius Sneed also set to become a free agent, and Sneed was targeted 90 times during the regular season. He didn't allow a single touchdown. That's the most targets that any player has faced without allowing a touchdown since Stephon Gilmore in 2019, when Gilmore was the NFL's Defensive Player of the Year. There's no denying just how crucial those two players are to the Chiefs defense. Boog, what should the Chiefs' approach be with these players in the offseason?
Pay both of them. I think it's really simple. And if you had to force me to pick one, I'm going to say Chris Jones, because you always build your defense front to back. But there's enough money to pay both of them. I think Chris Jones is a top 2 defensive tackle in football, depending on what day Aaron Donald is playing on and how you feel about him. And LJarius Sneed has proven he can play inside and outside, and all he does is shut down the best receiver. He travels with the best receiver. He makes impact plays, and in the biggest games, Sneed plays the best. And so I think when you look at Brett Veach, and Lewis, I know you're connected there. There is enough money in the organization, especially with this salary cap that's like Play-Doh. You can mold it how you want to pay Chris Jones and LJarius Sneed, because those two guys, I think, are the linchpins to one of the youngest defenses and best defenses in football.
Yeah, there's no doubt they'll have to do some cap magic, and I know Dan will speak about that a little bit as far as what they'll do with Patrick's contract. But look, Chris Jones will be the priority because he's irreplaceable. He just is, and that's not to say that LJarius Sneed is replaceable, because Brett Veach has been a master at finding guys that then their defensive back coach, David Merritt, who is one of the unsung heroes across the NFL in terms of being a position coach, has done a fantastic job developing these young guys. Jalen Watson, Trent McDuffie. These are guys who all come from that 22 draft class that really catapulted this team in their rookie season, and then in their second season took it to a whole nother level. So I know that Brett believes as though they can find defensive backs if they need to, and they can rely on David Merritt to really continue to develop these guys. But make no mistake, they don't want to lose either one of them, because what LJarius Sneed did this year was absolute just shutdown quality. What Trent McDuffie did this year was shutdown quality. And we already know the impact that Chris Jones has on that football team, not just on the field, but you see how the people there just love him. And when he walks into a room, Laura, but you've been there when he comes in for production meetings, you just kind of like
Larger
the
than
guy.
Life. Right.
You like him, and exactly, and that's how they feel about him down there. You don't let that get out of the building. You just don't.
Yeah, and look, I don't think that they will. If you talk about that Patrick Mahomes restructure, if you do a maximum restructure on Patrick Mahomes' contract for maximum salary cap savings, the number you save comes out almost exactly the same as what it would cost to franchise Chris Jones this year. So there you go, right? Like it's fixed. Now, it may be that they'd rather spend that cap space on other things, and it's better to do a long-term deal with Chris Jones, and maybe they do get that done. But if they have to franchise him to keep him in the building, I think they will. Everything Lewis said about the defensive backs holds true. They drafted 3 of them in 2022, anticipating this situation with LJarius Sneed, knowing when his contract was going to be up. We've seen in the past with Marcus Peters, with Charvarius Ward, they've let guys graduate and go on and replace them because of their faith in David Merritt, in Steve Spagnuolo, to develop these guys into star players, and it has worked. So if you ask me who's more likely to be there next year, I think Chris Jones, because, Laura, they have not been drafting game-wrecking defensive tackles who can play any position on the defensive line and close out Super Bowls. Those guys just aren't around.
I mean, you can make the argument that he won it for him in a lot of ways. I like when we're handing out other people's money. We'll see you tomorrow on NFL Live.